Good morning, guys. I'm going to do a devotional from the back porch today because my rocking chairs are covered in dew and wet, and I just didn't want to take the time to dry them all off. But just wanted to jump back into the book of John, guys. We're in John chapter 3, and I'm just going to jump right in. John chapter 3, verse 22 says, "After all these things happened with Nicodemus, that we talked about last week, uh, and John 3:16, and you must be born again, and God so loved the world that He gave His only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." Jesus says, "I did not come to condemn the world, but that through me, or through Him, the world might be saved." Right? And so we're already condemned. He came to save us. And so now after this, Jesus and His disciples, says they came into Judea, and they were there and they were baptizing. Also there was John the Baptist and his disciples. And his disciples get into it with the Jews about purification. And something interesting that John says happens, that they get into it with the Jews, and then they don't go to talk to John about that. They go to talk to John about Jesus. It says, now John was also baptizing, and there arose, verse 25, there arose a dispute between some of John's disciples and the Jews about purification. So there's an issue. And they, John's disciples, came to John and said to him, "Rabbi, he who is with you beyond the Jordan, to whom you have testified, behold, he is baptizing, and all are coming to him." So instead of talking about the issue they're in the middle of, they try to put it off on Jesus, say, "Hey, Jesus is out here baptizing people too." And John says something really interesting about this. So they're like, "Should we be upset about this, that somebody else is out here doing baptisms also? That guy, Jesus, he's doing baptisms." And John says, "I told you, I'm not the Messiah. I'm not the Christ. I told you, I'm just coming before somebody that's coming." And he says, "You yourselves bear witness that I said I am not the Christ," verse 28, "but I've been sent before him," verse 29. "He who has the bride is the bridegroom. But the friend of the bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices greatly because of the bridegroom's voice. Therefore, this joy of mine is fulfilled." So he's saying, I'm not the bridegroom. I'm just the friend of the bridegroom, right? And because I can hear the excitement in his voice, I'm excited. Then he says something really great here in verse 30. He says, "He must increase. I must decrease." So John's saying, it's not about me. It's all about him. He must increase and I must decrease. And my question to you today is, what does that mean in your life today? That's my question to myself today. What does that mean in my life? In what way must Wes decrease and God, Jesus, increase in my life? That's the question you can ask yourself. In what way can God increase in your life as we decrease? And we think, well, does God want us to decrease? And God wants to bring you alongside him. You know, John's saying here, he says, "Hey, I'm not the bridegroom, but I'm so excited just to be part of the wedding party," right? We are the bride, right? And so in what way can the Lord increase and we decrease? How can we allow more of Jesus to be seen and less of us to be known? And then John says something really, really interesting here. Verse 31, he says, he who comes from above is above all. He who is of the earth is earthly and speaks of the earth. He who comes from heaven is above all." He says it again. he who is of the earth speaks of the earth. You know what I think about? I think about how children they haven't grown in their understanding, and so at different ages you can tell. In fact, a lot of times you can even tell a kid's age just by what he understands, and just because they begin to come to more of a consciousness about themselves. Usually, there's a point in time where you begin to realize, wait a minute. You're conscious of yourself, right? And so, but you don't understand. You still don't understand everything. You know, children will play outside. They'll want to go swimming in December, not realizing they can freeze to death, right? They can get hypothermia. They don't not understanding all these things. They just know that swimming is fun, right? And the same thing, playing outside. They want to stay out in the sun until they are completely burnt, you know, just playing and having fun, not realizing that there could be detriments. In the same way, we do not see everything from a heavenly perspective. We understand everything from an earthly perspective. The best we understand is what we as humans can see from our finite, very small understanding of the world and universe and spirituality and God himself. And what's amazing to me is how many people, despite that limited knowledge, have so much ego about, no, I know God, I understand everything. How can you? You absolutely cannot. You know, I'm out here on the back porch, and I typically have some sort of bugs out here also. And those bugs do not have the understanding that I have, right? And in the same way, we're like that. We are so finite here in the grand scheme of God and the universe and just life and creation, and we cannot see everything that God sees. And so we only understand from an earthly perspective, but he understands all. So I must decrease. I must quit thinking that I understand everything and I know everything. I'm going through a situation here lately with someone whose ego is huge, has a huge ego and believes he understands absolutely everything about everything and thinks that he is right about everything. And nothing in his life proves that he should think that. But that's humanity. You know, we think we know when we don't know. We must decrease so that he may increase. So that's my question for you today. What is God speaking to you today about your life that maybe you need to decrease and let God be shown, let God be known? In what way is God wanting you to know him? And that something that needs to decrease in your life so that to allow him in to that spot. What dark areas, what shadows are you wanting to keep to yourself that maybe we just need to flip the light on and let us pull away from and say, Lord, you take care of this. He must increase. I must decrease. Easy for me to say. Anyway, guys, have a great day. We won't be doing very many of these, more of these from this house. By the end of the day today, I should know exactly where I'm moving next. So pray for me on that. And but we will still be doing devotionals, either from a back patio or a back porch or an office in my house, or I've got a church pew here. We may do it from there. But be praying for me on that. It's not about me. It's all about him. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Love you. And we'll talk to you next time.